Trapped by the belief that I'm not good enough, bound by the limitations and the lies that consumed my world, this was me. It wasn't until I took the biggest leap in my life to know and trust the power within. And it was at that moment I made a choice. My past will not define me anymore. Hello, I am Teri, and I know I am not alone in this. Over the years, I have found that the number one mistake that we make is that we get in the way of our own success story. Yes, I said it. On this show, together we'll tackle limiting beliefs, self sabotage, getting stuck, fear, doubt, overwhelm, and the imposter syndrome. Join us on this journey designed to transport you beyond your limitations to a world where anything is possible. This is Talking with Teri. Hello, and welcome back to Talking with Teri, where we have powerful conversations to transform your life and your business. And I'm delighted to have our guest, Pam Holland, on the show with us today. She's affectionately known to many as the Decluttering Lady. She's the founder, owner of the professional home organization and productivity business. Pam has delighted in helping heart-centered women entrepreneurs free themselves from physical, mental, psychological clutter in order to make room for their passions to flourish. So welcome, Pam. Hello.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here.
I am delighted to have you. So, I wanted to have folks share because I think, I've gotten to know you over the years and, we were talking off before we hop on here, like some of your journey. And I want to have you, kind of share that piece of that journey with folks that, kind of was like one of many defining moments in your life. So, let's hop in and I want you folks to, hear a little bit more about you and that moment that really changed your life.
Well, it's a story that I haven't told many people. I mean, my close friends know about it. But one thing I love about this story, and you'll see when you get to it, is that it just has some wonderful imagery, and it's about butterflies. And so what happened was I had, with the support of a number of female friends who had counseled me and guided me to actually step into this position, I took a position at a lovely Montessori school in Chevy Chase, Maryland, the Oneness Family School. And I had been trained for months, and I was just getting going, just getting up to speed. All of a sudden, I'm in my office. My coworker steps away. She goes to the bathroom. She comes back, and I am slumped over on my desk and not breathing. And, I was 43 years old and no history of any, heart problems or anything. But, according to others who were there, there I was, slumped over my desk. The sirens rang out. At this very point in time, while this was all happening, my son Adam was in his first through third grade classroom. They sat around in a circle on a rug, and his teacher, Madhavi, with her long braid hanging down, her long graying hair and her long braid hanging down, was reading the children a story of Monty the butterfly. And Monty was in his caterpillar state. And Monty said, "Am I dying?" And he was afraid. He didn't know what was happening to him. He didn't know that he was going to transform into a butterfly. So, I, was rushed to the hospital. Didn't look like I was going to make it. My mom flew in, my brother flew in.
Just pause for a second. So did you have a heart attack?
I did.
Okay, so you had a heart attack. And okay, I follow now. So you're
Yeah.
having this heart attack while your son is in this other classroom.
And they're reading this butterfly story.
Wow.
About someone being
talk about
in a
synchronicity.
cocoon.
Talk about synchronicity, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, everybody flew in, and one part of the story that, I didn't hear myself, but that I love, was that my mom marched in and she said, "If anybody here doesn't think she's going to make it, they can leave right now."
Yeah.
But my friends, I had a women's group called Women with Wings that I'm still close with. They were allowed to stay in the emergency room or, urgent care with me because everybody thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
And so
Wow.
they rubbed my feet, my hands, they sang to me. And then as soon as I got a little better, they got shooed out. As
Yeah.
soon as it looked like I was going to make it, they got shooed out. But I totally believe that their love and their support, brought me back, helped to bring me back from that threshold.
Wow.
Um, so that was, pretty huge. I had a lot of memory loss. I had to start retraining all over at the
Yeah.
school. It was like starting all over, only I was weaker.
Yeah.
And they were just lovely and supportive and made me a beautiful memory book because I couldn't remember anything. They made me a book with pictures.
Hmm.
If you ever have anybody in a
Wow.
situation like that, do that for them.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm sitting here listening to you and I'm going, wow, you had a near death experience, right? And I can only imagine what that time was like for you. I mean, I don't know if you have any recollection or memory or understanding of that element. I mean, because you're at this point you're unconscious, right?
Right, right.
And I mean, wow. I want to just take a moment just to be like, wow, here you are. Like, I just have to say, like, I think that when we get this opportunity, like that we get to have this second chance, if you will, like there's greater stuff. Like you're not done yet. Like for whatever
Mm-mm,
reason, they're like, okay, God, spirit, angels saying, hey, you know what? Pam's not done. She has more work to do. She has more work to do here on the planet Earth, and having this physical body, to carry her in that journey. So you come out of the hospital, you have to do, it sounds like, some physical therapy and just relearning and memory and all of that stuff. So where has that led you now on this? I mean, it's just a profound experience.
Well, I didn't realize that I had this gift for organizing.
Yeah.
And it was actually only after I left that job and I was between jobs, that my dear friend Peggy said to me, I was trying to figure out, what do I do? What do I do? We're having all these
Yeah.
conversations. What do I do next? And she said, I think you should organize people. And I was like, okay, people get paid to do that, right? But come to find out, they do. There's actually thousands of us professional organizers,
Yeah.
and
And by the way, I'll just put a quick plug in.
yeah,
It's been a game changer for me. Like I hired a professional organizer because I'm a paper junkie, and my desk is always a hot mess. And I was like, so I reached out to someone to just help me organize my desk and like make sense of the paper, right? I'm sure there's probably some psychological stuff behind that, but
uh-huh.
it was such a game changer for me because, you know, I think I've shared this story to you, Pam, before, but for our listeners, she came into my office and I had this bookshelf, and I am a book like, if I collect if I guess if someone asked me if I collected something, it's probably books. Like, I probably that's what I collect out of everything. I mean, I love children's books. I love, for the art illustration, and I just love books in general, reading and taking in, absorbing knowledge. And, uh, and so she came in and my bookshelf is, I'll just give you a visual, like, there's books lined up like they should be, and then I have books crammed in any other section, like any like of space above between the shelf and the books, like there's crammed, and there were some that were falling behind. I mean, it just was a hot mess. And I remember her saying something really profound. It was like, pretend like this is like a high real estate, and you only can have things that bring you current joy on this shelf. And she's like, you need to get rid of this by 50%. And I'm like, what? She is like evil. Like, she's absolutely evil. And so I'm a good student and I want to be like, I'm, doing my part. And she came back, gives me, like the, add a girl, thing. And then she's like, by the way, you need to clean it up another 25%, right? But what that did in that moment, and I was not a resistant client, I was a willing client, but it really made me think about like what are we holding on to that is not serving us and it's bringing clutter. I mean, we can apply this to all areas of our life. What is we holding on to that's not serving us, from our thoughts, from our physical space to anything. But it was really one of those insights, and I'm sure that you have some stories, or just kind of your process of helping people kind of declutter, because I mean, we're at the beginning of the year in 2021, and I think there's a lot of people that are looking to like, what's serving me, what's not serving me, and willing to look at that stuff. So, what can you share about that process and about that journey that you've come on, as far as, helping people really identify that within themselves?
Yeah. Well, I'll just say that, it's often really hard and it is so worth it. And it gets easier. It gets so much easier. Like some of the people that have been in my group courses who felt pretty hopeless when they first joined them are now saying, you know what? I'm addicted to clutter. I mean, to decluttering. I
Yeah,
walk
I
around
love
and I
it.
see little things, and they just have completely changed their relationship and the way they talk to themselves about it. And what you were hinting at is that, it's not just about the stuff.
Yeah.
It's mostly about your attachment to the stuff and the thoughts and beliefs that are keeping that stuff in your life. And if you are being unkind to yourself when you try to edit your belongings, then that's something to really to look at your thoughts. If you're saying, I should do this rather
Mhm.
than I could do this, you know, if you're hearing a voice, a critical voice, perhaps from your childhood or teacher or a parent, a caregiver, who's saying, you're no good at this, you'll never be able to do this. And if that is what you continue to say yourself,
Mhm.
what's going to happen?
Yeah, yeah, exactly, and I love this because, at the first glance, you think of like, "Oh, I'm getting it organized." It is so much deeper than that. I mean, it is so much, more profound than it's just like stuff, right? And
Yeah.
even just, having people, and I mean, I would love to hear like a success story from you, as far as, having a client, being resistant to that process, and then, what was the outcome of that, or what was the process in which they went through in order to be able to, fully embrace maybe this new paradigm or new shift or new way of living or new lifestyle that they, were able to create as a result of that.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot, but one that's fairly recent, and this also came from a student in my group course. When we first started working together, she said, "Well, we're not going to do we're going to do the basement last. The basement doesn't matter." And I was like,
Mhm.
okay. So I didn't say anything. But then, second or third session, I started to say, that stuff, that all that stuff down in the basement that's untouched that you never look at, that could be a good place to put, this huge collection of masks and gloves that are on your kitchen table right now.
Yeah.
And so by the time we got to about our third private session together, um, she was going, "You're so right about the basement. I'm so glad that challenged me to look at the basement." And I mean, I'm very forgiving with my clients, perhaps
Yeah.
to a fault.
Yeah.
I let them make their own choices.
Yeah.
I just keep asking questions,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I just made a note to myself, you know, ask about that basement again later on.
Yeah.
And so now that we just finished up that course, you would not believe the progress she's made.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I even think about, I don't remember who shared this information with me, but one time I had some old files down in my basement, and from an energetic perspective, they said, you got to move that around. It cannot be in the basement. And I was like, well, why not? It can be in the basement. And they're like, well, that's like if you think about it, like a foundation, like, right? Like that's some energy space down there. And so I had to shift it and I shifted that. And it was such a game changer. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I mean, just the energy of it alone. I literally today, I told my daughter today, I just like my daughter is a little bit of a I don't know the word
Collector?
not a collect. She just doesn't put away stuff. I don't even know the word.
Ah,
I mean, it's not, I mean, it's just, I don't know if I don't want to call her sloppy, but she just doesn't put away stuff. And it's been driving me nuts. And I kind of like, I didn't quite lose it today, but I was just like, so what I did today, I was just like, okay, I've got to like, cause I'm going around and I'm picking up stuff and I'm done picking up. Now, when she was younger, I did one time, and when she was probably about 4, maybe 5, I was like, "Okay, I want you to, you have a choice. You can pick up or not pick up." And she chose not to pick up. I was like, "That's fine. I'm going to pick up. No worries. I will pick up. But if I pick up, it is going to go to donations." So I picked up all the toys and there was 3 full bags of trash bags, and she got in the car with me and we drove to the donation center and we donated, right? She was crying, hysterical, and she's like, "Mom," and you know what? That lesson has served up until about age 9, and now we're back to like, she's 10 now and she's like, and so I'm like, you know what? So today I just threw everything on like the island in our kitchen, from the table, from the counters, from the floor, from everywhere, that there was stuff that I'm like, oh my gosh. And I piled it just in one spot. And I'm like, you have 15 minutes. The rest of this goes in the trash. And I was like, I gotta like, and that's probably the extreme, and you probably wouldn't recommend that, but I was like, I'm losing my mind, and this is happening today. So that's ironic that we're having this conversation right now. I needed you literally at 8 a.m. this morning. So, but I'm just like, I don't know, like what I got to do to like help support her in like just returning things, because I think there's one thing about like organizing, but there's a second element, which is powerful. It's like the maintaining of it, right? Like,
oh yeah.
do you got some help?
Yeah.
I'm going to ask for a selfish reason. Like, what can you do to help? And if there's any moms
Well,
out there that's in the same boat, I hope this relates, because as you know, moms and kids, and I mean, our world has been turned upside down. And so things that we didn't have to necessarily, I mean, she normally wasn't home, most days.
right,
And so
right.
it definitely has changed things. And so it's brought forth some habits and behaviors that I'm like, ah,
Yeah, well, I do have some thoughts about that. And, I'm glad you brought it up because this is, this whole family dynamic is really, critical. And this is what a lot of people struggle with is not their stuff, but other people's stuff, other people in their household stuff. But
yeah,
with kids, I think the best thing to do is for them to have some authority about how things are stored, where things are stored,
mhm,
in their space and in their in the shared spaces. And if they get to decide where things go and what kind of containers they go in, then they're much more likely to put those things in those containers.
yeah, to have some of that
Yeah.
personal buy-in for that, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, I would, give her the opportunity to, I would take her in a room and say, how do you want to organize it? How do you want to organize it
Yeah,
so that you can put your things away, easily?
yeah,
I used to be a big believer in boxes with lids. Like I couldn't see why anybody would ever want an open box because if you had a lid, you can stack them, right?
yeah,
But I learned so much from my clients. I went to a client's, we were in a basement, and she had all these boxes without lids. And I was like, I noticed these boxes don't have lids. She said, yeah, isn't it great? Then I can just toss things in there, I don't have
yeah,
to take off the lid. So, everybody's different in
yeah,
terms of what works for them. Some
yeah,
people need things in sight. Some people, which it sounds like maybe you can't stand to have them in sight, you need to put away. Um, and, but the other thing is also, I think it's important when we're feeling frustrated and critical about others in our household to start actually with what is our role
yeah,
in that,
yes. I'm
where
just
what are
tired of picking up
we
after
teaching
everybody.
them?
I'm just tired. I'm like tired. And it's only like this hit the peak today, because it's been going on for like 2 months like now, and I'm like, I'm just like what is going on? So, and I truly believe like having a place and space for things. So it's like, okay, here's her homework pile. I'm okay with this pile, homework pile being here, and we have a home for it. But everything else is just up is too much.
Yeah.
And I can't really say too much because if you come and look at my office, I'm looking at my office right now, and I'm like, it's a hot mess. So
Well,
I don't have too much to say.
if she sees you tidying up,
Yeah.
or ask her to help you tidy up your
Yes.
office, you know,
Yeah, that is so true.
like
What
lead by example. Yeah.
Yes, okay, fair enough. I have my homework. Okay, so clean your desk, ladies. I am totally guilty of this. I've justified this by saying there was years ago there was some sort of a video out on social media that had said, here's a picture of all these like brilliant geniuses of the world. So they had Albert Einstein,
Yeah.
they had Tesla on there. They had, I don't know how many, like five or six, like major, brainy, brilliant, scholarly individuals that are just like, just incredible, leaders of our time. And they showed pictures of their desk. And I'm like, mine is like right up with theirs. Like I feel honored to be considered a genius.
Yeah.
That's how I've justified it, but you're right, lead by example. Okay, so I have some homework today. Pam, why is it every time I talk to you, like I have some homework after I talk to you? Okay, so
Well, you asked for it,
I
Terry.
know, I know, I didn't
I
want
didn't
to like
volunteer
let me
it.
rewind. No, I'm going to do this because I'm a good student and I'm going to make sure that I take some action today to declutter. So
Well,
I mean,
let me just, can I back us up 1 second on
yeah,
that?
yeah,
I would say, certainly if you feel called to declutter today, declutter today. But also, what I usually suggest people do is they first notice,
mm-hmm,
just notice what's working and what's not working. Notice that, for a day or two. And whatever's working for you, no matter how it looks to anybody else, it
yeah,
doesn't matter how it looks to anybody else. As long as it's working for you and nobody else has to find it, I mean, that could be another
yes.
factor, um, then it's fine. It's
Okay,
absolutely fine.
I think I needed to hear that. So now I have permission. No, I'm just kidding. I'm
But
kidding.
you
Yes,
have to be
I hear
honest
you.
with yourself about whether it's working or not.
I agree. I think that's, and I think the other element is does it bring you joy? Like if it brings you
Yes.
joy, great, right? It's contributing to you. It's in alignment with you. If it doesn't bring you joy, it's becoming like an eyesore and you walk past and you're like, ugh, or you're like, and you had this like physical response to it. I think that's an indicator for you to say, not in alignment, not going to work. And so that might be something that you take a look at. So what great nuggets that you just shared with us. So any other, quick nuggets that if when people listen to this, that it's like, okay, what else can I do right now in my space to take some action? Inspired
I just want to say, first of all, know that you're not alone and be gentle with yourself, because more than likely the stuff didn't get there overnight and it's not
by
going to go away overnight. And so be patient and kind, get support if you need it.
brilliant.
Um, I have, been blogging for the last 5 years actively, and we've been chosen as one of the best 100 organizing blogs for the last 3 or 4 years. So there's lots of resources on there, completely free. Just go to the website, which is clutterfreenow.com. Look at the blog, look at the group programs, look at some very special decluttering days that I'm offering between now January and March of 2021. And reach out if you'd like support. And but the important thing is to be clear about what it is that's working for you and what your vision is for your space.
Yeah, I
What is
love
your
that.
vision for your space? And because once you have that, then you're excited to do
Yeah,
whatever you need to do. And yeah, maybe there's going to be times when you feel less excited and a little tired and not sure what to do.
yeah,
And you can always just come back to that vision. And, journaling, I know you're big on journaling. I have your journals here.
Yeah.
So I encourage people to make note of their feelings and thoughts and successes, particularly their successes
Hmm.
in terms of their decluttering and organizing efforts, and the feelings and thoughts that come up when they're feeling stuck. Because if you see patterns with that, then you can go, oh, whoa, so that's what that's about,
Yeah, absolutely. And um, I think that's brilliant. And I love the fact that, one of the things that you just said, and I want to highlight this, is that, what is it that how do you want to design your space? And I think, especially for folks that are working from home, um, you know, really looking at what brings joy to you in your home space and how do you want to design that so it feels good because you're going to spend so much time there. And so this is the year to really take a look at what's working and what's not working, like you said, and really be intentional with your design and be intentional with your space. Because I truly believe that our space around us, the feeling that we get from it walking in, if we're jazzed about it, I literally, this, that last week I redesigned
Oh
my
yeah.
studio, and so I had this really fun new studio setup, and I'm like so jazzed about it. But now I gotta make sure that the logistics work, right? And so it's really powerful to really honor that and take a look at that. So Pam has given some great nuggets, some to-do list, right, of some things that she recommends. And so take a look, go to her website, her website, and everything that she just listed will be in the show notes. So take a look at that. And Pam, what an honor to have you here and just share with you your wisdom. We're so grateful that, what a way in which you, transformed, that element in one of the darkest days of your life or moments in your life, and how you have now transformed that to help other people and just be of service to other people. So grateful for you and the work that you're doing. Thank you.
Well, I'm just grateful that our paths crossed and excited to be on your podcast.
Awesome. Thank you. I am so grateful that you joined me for this episode. If you've enjoyed this, then there's just one thing that I would like you to do. Click to subscribe and leave me a rating and review. As my way to thank you, let's connect for a free consultation. Just reach out to me at talkingwithteri, that's TERI.com, to book your time.